really wonder how much public's even using it. So,
They don't.
I mean, which is fine. Warrants keep having it, but then how much more do you spend on it?
Yeah, and my thought was just when I saw the cameras, I do read bottom for this, and they were going to be here, and I'm like, well, they're already here. So
the better
that
thing-
actually looks pretty good.
The better thing about it is at least they can still go to it after the meeting and look at it. Too,
Yeah,
you
right.
know, and so that's a benefit.
And to my knowledge, every single meeting we've done so far is still up on YouTube. So
Yeah.
Okay. We good to go, Tyler? Okay. It is 8:30. I call this meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Please, everybody, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good Thursday morning, everybody. It's been a week since we last convened. Lots going on, so I guess
It feel like a week since we've been here.
yeah, it feels longer actually to me, but you'll understand why we're here in a few minutes probably. Looking to see if Julie was up there this morning. I'm not seeing her, so is she on the agenda today?
Yes.
Okay, that's maybe why. Maybe she'll get. There was no press release or new updated numbers yesterday, so I was kind of curious to see what was going on there. So, do we have any public comments from the chamber this morning? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close off public comments for this morning, and we'll move to commissioner comments and start with Commissioner McKinley.
It's been a busy week. Last Saturday was the Riley Fall Fest. It was very successful. There was a lot of big crowds, great weather. Everyone enjoyed it. Unfortunately, I had to miss it because we had a wedding to attend in Texas. The wedding was great, but getting there was not.
Mm-hmm.
I-35 from Oklahoma City to Dallas is 3 lanes, packed both directions. Coming home, we took US 75, a nice 2-lane road. It was a lot nicer road, nicer trip, I guess.
77 will get you all the way to Oklahoma City, basically, too.
Yeah, well,
That's a nice route.
we were west or
Mhm.
east of Dallas, so 75 came up. That's
Yeah, I do not like it drive.
no, it was, and also found out our GPS is out of date with Dallas's new highways. I got sent around in circles a few times. And Monday was the county employee day. We had some good speakers and a fun trivia contest in the morning. Tuesday morning, attended the Flint Hills Veterans Coalition meeting. The Army and Air Force ROTC members were there because the group they donate. Flint Hills Veterans gives them donation checks each year to support their activities. And the rest of the meeting was finalizing the Veterans Day Parade. Tuesday evening, I attended the fire board meeting. Went over a lot of stuff, but Elizabeth was there and discussing the policy manual and it's being worked on and how it's going to affect them. They're working on a new application and probation process for consistent through all the stations, but they're also starting making the applications available online.
Nice.
Because there'll still be a handwritten ones available, but they said a lot of the younger people they're used to doing stuff online. And then they're trying to start planning some more recruiting events for next year. And then Wednesday morning, I had my flu shot at the health department. The power went out just as I walked in, but I don't think it was my fault. I don't know.
When was this? Yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably why we didn't get an update yesterday. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I went over to the museum, check on them, see how they're doing. They're all keeping things going, adjusting. Yeah, they were also out of power. I'm not sure how big the area was over there that lost power.
I guess we need to figure out, is that the power grid over there? What other entities are losing power consistently? I would assume it can't just be us.
Last time it was a wide area.
Yeah.
And that's what some guys.
What was that?
The streetlights were out that day.
Something going on.
Yeah, there was a chunk of stuff
And they
out.
came back on about 11:30 because I had a PIO interview over there and we were started it in the dark and during the interview the lights came on. So
Kind of a metaphor, huh?
maybe so.
Yeah, and I saw Alice was there for getting ready for that meeting, so I got a chance to talk to her. for a
I
little
got
bit.
my shot just before. Then
Oh.
two must have been there just after you.
And John followed me, and I told him to blame Public Works on the power outage.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just pile it on, huh, John?
Yeah.
And yesterday at noon, I gave the sales tax presentation at the Riley Senior Meals and had a good response from folks and a good meal. And then Wednesday evening, I gave the sales tax presentation at Randolph City Council, and also got a good response up there. That's enough.
Okay, Commissioner Foki.
Okay. Monday, I attended the county employee day. And signed up for disagree agreeably and listening skills for boosting communication, which are Dale Carnegie courses. They're really well done and met some people that I didn't know, got to know them, which is great. Learned a lot about the generational differences in the keynote address. I thought that was pretty informative and going through all the different generations and how they react to various work environments was really good. The session I enjoyed the most was listening skills and being able to practice them in small groups. Tuesday and Wednesday, I caught up with regular county business, a lot of emails, some on the EMS proposal that's going to be made. And then I did some reading of the rather large comprehensive plan that Amanda gave us. Made some calls to set up more tax presentations, but didn't have much luck for getting any dates set with the conference next week.
Yeah.
That kind of puts a
Yeah.
kink in it because a lot of them meet next week, the ones that I was working on. So after that, it's going to be pretty close to election day. So I don't know if that's going to be worthwhile to do anymore. I'm still waiting to hear back from some people, but anyway, yesterday I was in the office, organized materials and forms for the KAC conference next week. And I did a lot of printing of a lot of things and listen to the jackhammering going on down the street. Or whatever that is. So anyway, but that's all I have.
Okay, I'm gonna take a deep breath. It's been a week. Thursday after we met, speaking of comprehensive planning, I did go up and talk with both Amanda Smeller and Bob Isaac in the planning department on some just some early thoughts on this particular, I guess we're gonna call it an update to our Vision 2025 plan, or be a new name with that, I think, along the way there too. We've been talking about that off and on throughout the entire year, but just trying to get some foundational things put into place for that. There'll be a larger and broader discussion that will come up during our November 8th county officials luncheon. So if you weren't aware we were having that next month, now's a good time to put that on your calendar, and that'll be at least one of the topics of discussion at that time. So I think we're being a pretty good place for that moving forward. It's going to be kind of like the land development regulations. It's going to be a rigorous process for certain. So Thursday afternoon, I also have my bi-monthly meeting of the crisis intervention team. Topic of discussion there was gaining a family member to the board per those bylaws. Her name is Shelby Bruckerhoff. She wasn't there at that meeting, but she's going to be at the next one in December to kind of give an introduction and so on and so forth. CIT International Conference was discussed and the different levels that come with that and what it could look like potentially here in Riley County in the Flint Hills region. That presentation was given from Officer Backenstow. And the 2021 Kansas Mental Health Summit was canceled, but they're looking to get some information, and maybe they kind of push that up early next year to kind of facilitate 2 years. Don't know on that too. Got some information on the KS, I guess it's the Kansas CIT Association meeting as well. So Thursday evening, I was invited by John Armbrust to go over and have a small discussion group that he has over at Middle Lark Hills. Includes my former debate coach, Doug Malone, former Riley County District Judge, Mershon, and a few other prominent people that just kind of hang out, talk about things. He invited me to come and speak about the road and bridge sales tax. He served on the early part of the Road and Bridge Advisory Committee. So he talked about how they kind of started incorporating that process and then kind of handed it off to me. And I stuck around and just talked about some other things. We talked about dark store. We talked about facilities. We talked about the present, the past, and the future. It was a good conversation. I like those small little group conversations. Sometimes you really do get a lot out of them. So certainly appreciated the opportunity as I always do to have those types of dialogue. So Friday I came down here and donated blood during the Riley County blood drive that we do with American Cross, I believe every 3 months. Just like everything, blood's a shortage right now across the country. So I encourage everyone who's willing to donate, has a card, to get online, check out the website, download the app, whatever it takes, find some place to go and donate some blood, because it's really going to save lives at this particular point in time. So there was no K-State football on Saturday. Manhattan High lost to Washburn Rural Friday night. It was a tough game, well played, but was what it was. Sunday evening, I attended the Riley County Farm Bureau annual meeting and dinner at Potroff Hall. Jackie McClaskey from the American Rural, I think she was a former Secretary of Agriculture here in the state, came and spoke. They handed out several awards through the years. They did 2 years of those because they didn't really have that in-person meeting last year. And during their yearly raffle, I actually won a stainless steel mug with a little carrying case. I usually don't win very much stuff at raffles, but I've gotten lucky here over the last couple of years. I don't know what that is about, but whatever, I guess. So Monday, as everybody else mentioned, I did attend the Riley County Employee Day. As we know, this year was done kind of in that kind of hybrid model, and I came away very, very impressed. I thought it was well planned out, well thought out. There was a lot of attention to detail. And I think this is the direction we should go with this moving forward. So the one, put 250 people in a conference room somewhere and then try to split it up. I think we get more active participants, get more people involved in this process. Trip over my words this morning. We get more people, including those that are on duty at that particular point in time, EMS and fire. If they don't have to go out to a call, they could be part of it. It's full on, and I really liked it. I enjoyed the morning session too. I'd heard Scott speak 2 years ago. He changed it a little bit of an update during that time, as you could probably expect, but it was similar. Enjoyed the county trivia session too. Was discouraged that I only scored 11 out of 33. I pride myself on knowing history here, and now apparently I don't. No surprise that obviously the museum was the one that won. I mean, that kind of makes sense. And even they only scored like a 22 out of 33, so it was pretty good. So 2 afternoon breakout sessions were wonderful, thoughtful, very insightful. It was nice to see the interaction of the departments together with that. So overall, it was a good day and afternoon spent. So Tuesday morning, I was on K-Man's In Focus. Among the items that were discussed in that program were, once again, the sales tax, the RFQ on the EMS facility. Spent some time talking about Riley County IT and web cybersecurity. With everything that's happened over at Pottawatomie County, it's kind of got some flags and I guess feathers ruffled a little bit. I think how we handle IT over here is a little bit different than Pottawatomie County. I'm not saying one's right or wrong. We've looked at it from a different perspective, and we've got all of our stuff backed up offsite, and if they're going to hack it all, they're going to have to be really, really good to do it, I think. That's my philosophy on that, and that's what I discussed. Guess we also discussed the passing of the Riley County Historical Director, Cheryl Collins, the retirement of Director Dennis Butler from RCPD. And for me, that was the first time I was in studio since the second Tuesday in March. And if you remember back to the second Tuesday in March of 2020, that's when that was the day of the world changed. So the athletic director was in that morning. They were talking about what they were going to do at the Big 12 tournament. We'd had some protocols in place. We were talking about them, and it was literally that afternoon that first set of dominoes fell, and here we are 18, almost 19 months later. So it was kind of good to get back into that kind of in-person model there, and I had a chance to talk to Brandon and Dave while I was there as well. So let's see, moving on down the list. Tuesday evening, I attended the Manhattan Kiwanis meeting with Public Works Director John Ellerman to give the full presentation and discussion of the Riley County road and bridge sales tax. So yeah, I've almost got that memorized. I'm almost robotic with it. So
You almost didn't need your pack.
I almost didn't. Had a wonderful microphone that didn't work the entire time, so I had to really like scream, but ended up working out pretty well. Stuck around afterwards and was just trying to kind of see. Oh, and I got some tickets to Pancake Feed for that. I thought I'd be public about that just in case there was any issues. But they gave me 2 tickets for coming and giving a presentation. I think they gave John 2 tickets too. But so pancakes in December, woohoo, I can't wait. They didn't have it last year, so got to catch up with all that. So I wanted to take a moment and say thanks for the opportunity to come and give that presentation. There was about 15, 16 people there, and they'll pass some information along throughout their group with that too. And I also wanted to thank Kiwanis for everything that they do within the community. They do some really, really good stuff throughout the year. So, and last but not least, yesterday afternoon, I had my monthly Microsoft Teams call with the National Association of Counties, National Community Economic Workforce and Development Steering Committee I'm on. Among the topics and speakers on that call were Angela Hanks. She's right now the Acting Assistant Secretary for Employment and Training Administration, which is kind of a separate component of the U.S. Department of Labor. She discussed the Biden administration's workforce development, the priorities with that, and the importance of intergovernmental partnerships within these efforts. Second speaker was, I hope I get her name right, Arabelle Pluta Ellers. She's a program manager for children's, youth, and families within National Association of Counties. She discussed the overview of the County for Kids campaign and how your county can get involved. But this has been something that's been in place since midsummer. Something I think we here probably should at least look at, and I'll get to the right channels on that and figure out if that's something that's a good fit here. That's a pretty good program, and there's some places around the country that are really, really finding some cool, innovative ways to engage. I think we've got several here too with the book trail thing and a couple other ones, but there's some other things that can be done there with that too. And the last part of the meeting was Michael Matthews, our legislative liaison for the committee. He gave us a full congressional legislative update, including where this infrastructural bill is, and he knows as much as we do about that right now. I think he knows as much as I don't think anybody on Capitol Hill really knows where that's going to go at this particular point in time. So with that, that's all I've got for today. That's been a week.
That was. Guess we ready for business?
Let's do it.
First item, West 32nd Avenue Bridge Replacement Project Contract. King Construction of Heston, $1,284,589.40.
When is the start date on that again? Is that the beginning of the year?
End of January.
Yeah, okay.
Get a motion.
I move to approve the contract with King Construction with 32nd Avenue Bridge replacement.
I'd second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the contract with King Construction for the West 32nd Avenue Bridge Replacement Project, paid for with sales tax dollars, correct?
Yes.
So just another
That's
example of how,
upcoming sales tax dollars are the ones we're working on.
well, the
now.
ones we currently
The ones
have.
we're collecting
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Because I know that's on the list, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please.
Oh, look at how lucky you are.
Hand's broken already, can't sign, gonna have to stamp.
We lost your stamp. I forgot to tell you.
Oh, that's why my signature was on all the service awards. Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's when we lost it after that busy time.
It disappeared.
Huh. How convenient how that happened. I was gonna say, we had a caller that called in on K-Man, and I thought this was interesting, kind of put both the sales tax and the EMS facility all under one, and probably the most positive thing I've heard out of somebody on the radio in quite some time.
Yeah, I listened to that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
I
was positive.
kind of, we all in the studio kind of were surprised.
Those are the normal couple people that call in.
Yeah, they
It's a little
didn't.
different. Yeah.
They didn't. So I was, kind of surprised by that too. Okay, I don't know if I had the same order yet or not. Everything should be signed, Rich. I'm gonna try to get the Zoom link for the law board meeting on
On
Monday.
Monday.
When I do you want me to have Nicole send that to you too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think, I looked at the schedule, it doesn't look like there's anything
Mhm.
scheduled for lunch hour, but our rooms are in a different location.
Yeah, it's because they're
Back
doing
and forth.
construction at the site there, and I don't think I can check into mine till 3 o'clock on
Yeah.
Monday,
So
so.
I'm not sure if there's a room.
But everything starts at 9 AM on Monday, so I remember last time that you had that first half a day of registration, it was just some kind of workshops and stuff, and it was a full-on day and then a half a day, and it's a little different this year, but.
Well, it'd be, as far as the Zoom, I don't know if there's a room we can do that in, or if we'd have to do it on phone or iPad or whatever.
Oh, I would assume that, yeah,
Gotta
you could
have
do that either way.
something.
They'll have Wi-Fi there, so you just connect to your
Yeah.
computer and it would just be same as any other place.
Next, I need a motion on highway use permit granting Evergy permission to work in the right of way to install new underground and overhead primary poles starting from 4681 Kitten Creek Road, approximately 3,850 foot north to connect at North 52nd Street.
Okay, I would move to approve the highway use permit granting Evergy permission to complete the work as outlined in the permit.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded on the highway use permit for Evergy on Kitten Creek Road. All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Chairman, please. Next, I have a highway use permit granting WTC Communication Inc. permission to work in a right of way to bore and plow new fiber optic cable along multiple roads in Zedale area for the next phase of the project.
I have a question on that, John. Or somebody, WTC, is that the only provider that can use that fiber, or is it gonna be?
It's probably their fiber, and it'll be for them. I'm assuming. I don't know their structure, but they're paying to have that put in. I'm assuming it's for their customers.
I know that's how it works in our area.
I guess follow-up question that would be when they pull the actual tube for fiber optic, are we pulling a tube that's large enough to put multiple?
I didn't ask.
Okay,
So then if there's another provider, they gotta dig another
Right.
trench and do a whole new.
that's one of
thing.
the issues I have with this since
Yeah.
day one with that. If we're gonna pull into an area, we should at least put the tubing in that's large enough to put multiple strands of fiber through. Because that's gonna always be the case. If
Yeah.
a company's paying for it, they're probably not going to share
Yeah.
that with anybody. It's gonna be for their own use. So,
And that's why they only use the size they need. Because
Right.
bigger size, they have to pay for it.
right.
And someone else would get that benefit.
That's-
It's private industry.
Well, I understand that, but it'd be nice to plan ahead, and so you don't have to dig it up all the time.
I think if we pay for stuff that's underground like that countywide, or we get grants, or we use separate state or federal funds, that's something that we need to think about. when
Yeah,
do
we
that.
do.
Yeah.
With some of this funding coming in for infrastructure, maybe
If-
we can do it at the same time. Mhm. Anyway, okay.
Need a motion.
I move to approve the highway use permit for WTC Communications as outlined in the permit.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the highway use permit for WTC Communications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please.
You have all the fun today.
I know. Just because I wasn't here to sign stuff on Monday, I guess. We learned a lot about Rich's personality though on Monday.
Yeah.
No,
what?
you didn't.
Yeah.
You already knew that.
That was sarcasm. I didn't do that.
Right.
Karen.
Let me know this.
You already knew that. I know who I am.
I should have laid that sarcasm on real thick there. I did. That's my bad.
Next, I have change order number 1, Weeders Road Stream Bank Rehabilitation in the decrease amount of $8,620. Need a motion.
I have a question, John. What are live stakes? It says they deleted like around 250 live stakes.
Trees, I
Oh,
believe those are, well,
No,
But
it's
first it
4
said some-
Boyer root trees and 5 live stakes.
well, that's number 4. There's more than that if you look on the thing.
Oh, yeah, that's correct.
There's-
I honestly can't tell you what that is. Was completed before I got here.
I was gonna say also, because this, I don't remember seeing anything about this. I assume it was last year's project or something.
It was early in the year, pretty much completed the seeding. I think what we're deleting out of it was planting of some trees along the bank. that
Yep.
The township or the landowners are excited about having there.
And then what, any more trees put back or replaced? Really?
A live stake is a dormant cutting of a tree.
The dormant cutting, but is that
It was just a
different than
stick that
bare
they-
root trees?
A stick that they put in the ground that says.
Cut from long upright branches taken off the current
I don't
plant.
think anybody here wants to know what I was thinking about when you said live steak.
So that is the Google definition.
Okay,
I have a
So,
whole nother
Yes,
thought.
it is a type of a tree. Because some live stakes, you can just cut them and plant them and they will.
Yeah,
roots.
they do, but apparently they didn't take root, huh?
Well, no, they didn't need them.
Didn't use
They didn't use them.
Need them, oh,
They didn't
okay.
need them.
What are you using to hold the bank together?
yeah.
Grass. Planting grass.
And they probably planted some, but they didn't need the full quantities, probably what
Gotcha.
happened. Need a motion.
Move to approve the Weeders Road Stream Bank Rehabilitation Project, change order number 1.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on the change order number 1 for the Weeders Road Stream Bank Rehabilitation Project. All those in favor?
Chairman, please. Commission have any topics for the joint city-county meeting?
Yeah, we're gonna at least discuss some KDOT related projects in and around the area, probably with the city, and I'm probably gonna assume Potawatomi County will be there for that one too.
Is that already on?
I have no idea, but if it isn't, it needs to be.
It doesn't show any topics on this.
Discuss KDOT projects?
Yeah,
What's that? Which one?
next Thursday, as a matter of fact.
Thursday, okay.
We're gonna talk about which ones or just any.
Well, we had the local consults here recently, and I probably need to get with you, John, on a couple items for that. Probably may need you here for that meeting. 4 PM.
Any items for the intergovernmental lunch?
I don't have anything. I didn't see anything on the topic list there either, so,
Okay, all attend if we have one.
okay, yes.
Ready for the minutes when the board is, if you can do it in a minute and a half.
Oh, I think we can do that. Everybody got their minutes up? Okay, just a second here, and we'll sneak mine up and we'll get this going. Okay. Okay. So we're on meeting. Okay, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. page 9. And lastly, page 10.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as written for October 7th, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and second on approval of the minutes from the October 7th, 2021 BOCC meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Now the tentative agendas, commissioners.
Getting to the end of the month on those.
Any items for next week's press conference?
No.
Of course, I'll be on there for elections.
I don't know if we should give any type of update from the conference or not. I don't know if we did that 2 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you remember, Clancy?
I doubt that there probably will be.
Okay. I couldn't remember. Okay.
Can't call it last time.
That's fine with me then. Anybody else have anything? No? Okay. Then I guess we're at 9 o'clock and Clancy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Clancy Holman, Riley County Councilor. Just as a reminder, the legislative conference on November 4th, all but one of the members of our state delegation have indicated they'll be able to be present.
Okay, good, good.
Of course, they will be live this year in person rather than by Zoom, which will be a nice change of pace. You will be seeing the proposed draft agenda next Thursday, so you get a chance to look at it. It'll identify what items are going to be presented, kind of the general timeline. Once you approve that, I'll send it out to the delegation, and then the conference will be the following week. There will be lunch provided this year, and we'll go back to the previous structure we had in place. Lasts about half an hour, and then from noon to 12:30, and then we get started, and it'll last till 2 o'clock.
How many topics are we gonna have?
Well, we've got 4 different legislative items. I'm going to open it with your permission with a discussion by a spreadsheet that Shiloh Hager has been working on. It shows dollar losses to Riley County because of state action on various issues. I would lead with that. Her and Amy, our registered deeds, also talk. Greg McHenry is not going to be available that day, so I'm going to try and get some information. I will get some information. I'm going to try and present in his place some of the specific items related to appraisal work that's been affected by state actions and actual dollars that have been lost by Riley County since 2013 and projected through 2022. It was a spreadsheet that when Shiloh made available to Kansas Association of Counties and the Legislative Council, Jay Hall, he was really enthusiastic about the information. He presented it at the meeting of the Governor's Tax Council some weeks ago. So it's that same spreadsheet. It's pretty straightforward. It's a good item. I think our legislators need to be familiar with that and be ready to explain it and be ready to use it in discussions during the upcoming session. The idea not being to restart any of the things that have ended necessarily, but to give them some real dollar reasons why when the county speaks up and says that's a detriment to our finances and to the taxpayers because of what you're planning to do. It'll be more than just us saying that. I mean, you'll be able to show them real dollar losses. So should help with credibility. Then we'll move on to the 4 items. Board's agenda for next year.
Clancy, which legislator cannot attend?
Representative Carlson had a commitment.
Carlson,
She couldn't-
okay.
Susie Carlson could not make it. So but the rest will be here, as I understand it. I wanted to talk a little bit about the KAC annual meeting next week. It's going to be busier for me anyway than it has been in the past. And I will highlight a couple of things. I'll be on that panel discussion on dark store and the opening breakout, one of the opening breakout sessions, along with a member of the Douglas County Appraiser's Office. And we'll be talking about dark store with the group. Then Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the County Councilors Association of Kansas CLE. It's always part of the conference. We try to be there when the commissioners are around. So that we can provide information, assistance. But that'll be 8 to 4. And then at the end of that day, I believe, last I saw, was the legislative policy statement for the Kansas Association of Counties. I'll attend that. On Wednesday, at 9 a.m., I'll be convening the discussion of constitutional home rule. I won't be presenting that. That will be Mike Hunt, who's a longtime member of the legislative research staff at the Capitol. Everybody understands county home rule, moving into constitutional protection. That's the topic Mike's going to be talking about. So it should be good. And at 10 o'clock, I'll be presenting on home rule at the county commissioners affiliate at the request of KAC with a brief PowerPoint and hopefully some discussion. And then at noon, I was accepted as the president of the County Councilors Association. I accepted an invitation from the executive director, Bruce Cladney. He sent out an invite for the various affiliate groups to have lunch with him that day. It's kind of a new tradition there at the conference, and get everything from the affiliate groups, a representative from each of the affiliate groups interacting. So that should be good. That'll be closing out the conference really from my perspective on Wednesday. Be glad to answer any questions you've got. Thank you. So,
Next, you have Clancy at 9:20 on the approval of license agreement with Flint Hills Wellness Coalition.
Off to a good start with advanced voting, Rich.
Yeah, we had over 100 yesterday, which was really good for a smaller election typically.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, over 800 ballots by mail, so.
Really,
Wow.
that's good.
It's a good start. Hopefully it keeps up on through.
Just out of curiosity, from a personal perspective, how do you like having all the elections in November instead of municipal elections in the spring?
Oh,
I mean, the process is still the same, but is there?
we've adjusted to it. It's just a matter of getting used to it. It just dictates when staff can't take vacation. That
Gotcha.
every other year it used to be nice, that people had a break and, get it done early and then have the whole summer. And, with an election in August, you can't go on vacation June through September. And so that's what it really impacts personnel.
This year in particular, when we actually had a primary, it's
Mhm.
probably not
Exactly.
quite as challenging when you don't have a primary in one of those.
It makes it hard, and many staff won't be able to use their vacation time just because of the workload.
Yeah.
So process wise, it doesn't hurt us. Matter of fact, it actually spreads out the timeline, but for staff satisfaction, it's not good.
That's why that stretches it out. It used to be fairly compact.
Yeah, in November, and then you turned around and had one in the spring, then you were done for a while.
But also the spring one, you didn't have as long, time between signing up and actual election was only a couple of months. You signed up, you had the election.
Right.
Now you sign up and 6 months later is the election. It just seemed
I know for
Drag it out
candidates
a
and
lot longer.
stuff, having the fall election works a little better for them than trying to get out and walk and hang stuff on doors in snow and ice. It kind of matches up that way, but
Now you can get rain and snow late October, early November too, I suppose.
Whether it's the heat in the summer.
Yeah, I can tell you, John, you say that, but ask the candidates that had to walk in July
Oh,
what
yeah.
it was like. But then on top of that, the only time I have had to personally call Greg McHenry and say, can I use your 4-wheel drive Bronco to go and get poll workers
Yeah.
to take them to the polling place was an April
Yeah.
election.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ice and snow that morning.
Wow.
Yep.
Have you been, I know they didn't have that KC last year, but you've been through it before.
Yeah, I was the one in Wichita. It was in was a little later in the year. It was in mid-November 19.
Because, I saw the schedule, there's several options every time. Do we have to sign up for which one? I didn't find, I was trying, like you said, I was trying to go through all this.
Yeah, no, you just kind of show up to
You
which
just
one you
pick-
want.
you
Yeah.
just- Okay.
For
I didn't
instance,
know.
Tuesday morning, I'm doing a discussion on health and policy with Julie on a panel.
Yeah, I saw
And,
that one, but
yeah.
that, but if you're on a panel, yeah, but. if
Right,
you just-
yeah, I kind of already signed up for that
Right,
one.
and that's what I didn't know if there was one.
No.
I didn't see anything or sign up ahead of time, but I was
Yeah.
looking through them to see which ones I was interested in. But I thought,
Really, for me, it's gonna be, I've got other business to take care of. I've got a chamber meeting on Tuesday afternoon, we got a law board meeting.
Yeah,
I'm going to attempt, being the key word, to drive back and give a presentation at the same time via phone. So with the Builders Association.
I wondered if you were coming.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad reached out to me and sent out a Zoom link and said, hey, I'm in Kansas City. I'll have to do it by Zoom. So debating on whether or not I'm just gonna drive and just try to talk and do it, or
Yeah.
try to find some place and just set up shop and take my chances. I don't know yet, so.
I don't know if you can.
So if you
do
hear of
that.
a big wreck on I-70 Wednesday afternoon, more than likely it was me. Yeah.
I don't know if technologically you could talk while the presentation is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you might.
The only thing I need to do is just set up the screen share.
Yeah,
And once I do that, it's just
That way,
click, click, click. And I pretty much have that down, so. That'd be the ultimate test if you had all that information, huh, John? You know, maybe in terms of professionalism, maybe that's not the best way to handle it, maybe. I don't know.
no, when they talk on the agendas and when they say stakeholders, does that mean county commissioners or what does that mean?
Well, it depends on which one it is. You know, if they were talking something health related, maybe it's all your health professionals that are county related.
Okay.
If it's public works, for instance, I don't know if they're having an expo.
Is it limited to those people or? what?
No, it's open to everybody,
Yeah.
but you know, they put out, you know, if they're talking about better ways to build roads or bridges or the process of all that and how to look at, I think one of them 2 years ago was how to properly look at deteriorating bridges. Well, really for us, that's not really our scope of work. That'd be John, it'd be Public Works, maybe noxious weed possibly too. So,
Well, I couldn't, you know, or maybe I'm just not.
no, none of those are just
Sick
kind
here,
of come, and you can just come and go as you please.
Okay.
They had somebody from USDA, I can't remember her name, Lynn, can't remember her last name. She gave a presentation on rural grants and development funds and stuff. And of course, you know, that's a federal agency, but of course they incorporate that on the local end. So, yeah, so, yeah, there's a lot of different things there.
Yeah, it looked really interesting. You know.
I
And
expect
we'll
to
probably
really,
just split up and do different
I
things.
think you'll probably really enjoy the expo. They had it downtown Wichita at the, what was it, the Century or whatever downtown 2 years ago. I think they rotate them, but they tried to do it by Zoom last year. I didn't do it last year. I had too much other stuff going on in around that time, but I was told through Kim, the communications director, it wasn't really well attended. Kind of hard to go through and take pictures of exhibits, and I think everybody had a little bit of Zoom fatigue. I know I did at the end of last year, and just wasn't really attendance. I expect this one to be pretty big. I expect a lot of people to be there. I really do.
Except for in Kansas City. Probably limited to the western counties.
Oh, it's 3 days, so just.
Yeah, that conference probably should be a little bit more centralized. Maybe we need to put it in a plug and get it here to Manhattan.
Well, even Salina, they have some really good.
Yeah,
have
they
a good
do.
conference
That
center
event center
there.
they have over there is pretty nice.
That would be really, a lot more
Is
central.
it big enough to plan? The event center?
Manhattan doesn't seem central.
It would work out a little bit.
Not when you're in
so
Rollins County, it doesn't seem central.
he was for discussing that at but the other one that was out over the liberal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
they were
like,
saying, we always
I
have to
couldn't
go to
make it to
Kansas
that.
City for stuff. You guys have to go out here once. Well, okay. Agreed. It ought to be Salina, you know.
Yeah, Salina is really, that's some really neat facilities. I was amazed.
I was really impressed with their setup down in a Liberal.
Yeah, no, they had a nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Clancy's fault. Or, excuse me,
Of
Clarence.
course. Yeah, I didn't know who you were talking about there for a second.
Sorry, Clarence.
Okay, now
I make a motion that we change his name tag too.
Go ahead.
I answered anything, right?
That's right.
I answered to Haiti, so.
Yep.
No, that Monday employee training day, that's what said that, but the sign said that, on what we put on the doors. Here.
Did it?
Yeah. But-
Technically, the sessions are somewhat training. I mean, but
They just changed the name.
She
Someone
did-
suggested change the
Elizabeth didn't
name.
like it.
I know, and
She was
I'd
one
say it
pushing
every
it.
time just to get under her skin.
I
said,
thought it looked
"And
like
by the
her.
way, which committee is it that put this together? Oh, it's the training committee.
The only thing you could say, the groups in the afternoon, the only thing was Public Works, when you have 50 people in a room, it wasn't, and then the thing there, we're supposed to discuss that, part of it was that listening thing, discussing when you've got that many people in the room, trying to have divided conversations that didn't work real well, couldn't hear.
so we're usually out in the field with loud equipment going, watch your back.
But it was-
Heads up.
I agree with John, it went really well, and I think a lot of people think favorably of it, and it is good to add, because EMS ambulance can participate. But the one thing I missed, because I took this stuff out to Greg, is I know a lot of the guys out at Public Works, and that's one time for me to converse with them and joke around with them, and, you get more of that inner office camaraderie, because I've known a lot of them for years, and I got to give a couple of them a hard time, and I took stuff over there to Greg, and you miss out on that.
Yeah, and all that stuff was there already. I applied it.
So that was Elizabeth and I talked about that, but no, overall, people were very favorable about the format, but
I
that's
was
one
really
thing
wondering how
I
that was
missed
just,
about
if it
it.
was gonna be kind of choppy or, like I said. There was plenty of time in between session and events and. I also vote next year if we do bingo that Clarence over here can't have 8 different cards being used at the same time. And he still didn't win.
No, didn't even come close.
By the end of all that, I had like 4 that weren't filled, and I still didn't win anything.
Well, yeah, that one where you used to the picture frame, I had everything, but the center was all filled out, and I had all my empty
Oh,
ones that
no.
were on the outside.
Some of those are really hard.
That was fun,
It was
fun and
fun.
educational.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I wish I'd brought that trivia thing, but I left.
Yeah.
That was, it's just the answers, but I didn't put the questions for each one. Just. I got 13.
You got 13?
Yeah.
That's what I got.
I got about that too.
At 13, I should have had about 16.
Yeah, there were a couple.
I had to do mine by myself because all the staff paired up, and
Yeah.
we're odd one person because Elizabeth was gone,
So I
so
picked the right one.
odd man out, literally.
Maybe I go through some
Dave
3 or
did a
4.
really good job. I enjoyed it.
He did do a good job.
Yeah, we ended up pairing up. I ended up with Cheryl from Public Works, Cheryl
Oh,
West.
Hmm.
She lives right around the corner from my son.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw that right. It's gonna dip down to the upper 30s tonight for a low.
Oh, I need to hear about that.
Once the farmers are out there starting to get the corn taken care of, like they got
Yeah.
most of, not all the beans taken care of, so.
Yeah, my beans haven't even turned yet. They're just starting to get yellow, but neighbor, he planted his real early and he's harvested his already.
Several corn plots out there on my way to work off of Wildcat Creek and Eureka, and was driving, it was the first, I guess, morning they'd already done it, because usually kind of blocks off all the lights and
Mhm.
all the stuff on the, at the airport there at 5 o'clock in the morning. All these lights were flashing, and I realized, oh, they must have done the corn. It's
Corn's
gone.
gone.
Corn's gone.
Field of Dreams is gone.
Yeah, it's gone. Now it's just flashing lights in airports. It's always a good feeling when you're flying out of MHK in the summer. When you come back in, you're getting ready to leave. You always see beans or something off to the side. You fly and you're like, we're home. Okay, Clancy, you're up again.
Morning, Commissioners, Riley County Council, Clancy Holm. Got the approval of a license agreement with Flint Hills Wellness Coalition. This is the item that you, as the car indicates, had authorized an agreement in principle, so they could begin pouring the concrete slab. The Wellness Coalition can take responsibility for that out of the health department. And the idea being that this license, a formal written agreement such as you have before you today, would be executed within 14 days. This makes that happen, meets that deadline, and is designed to accomplish everything that's described in the card and everything that appears in the license agreement itself. It puts all responsibility, all liability away from the county, and because it's a license agreement, it gives the county maximum flexibility to control that use of a portion of your real property. So, unless you have questions, I would ask that you go ahead and approve.
Like I say, it's just formalizing what we discussed at that meeting.
Right, but you do need, one of the things, kind of basic legal principle involving an interest in land. If you don't have it in writing, you don't have an agreement.
Right. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, though. It's formalizing for that purpose.
And so this is just for a year, so.
No, it's actually designed to be a recurring, the license agreement itself and its text, because of the effective date being today, presume if you sign it, it's for a year at a time, and then it is allowed under its terms to continue as long as you want it to. So you can keep
There's
on.
a thing we
renewing.
can chop it anytime.
It can be terminated.
I mean, I don't have any intention of that, but like I say, just protecting our interests. in case
But, and
something-
that's exactly the point. It's not to be overbearing or exert too much control. It's designed to give you maximum flexibility because you don't have, there's no reason for the county to control the operation and the use of this item. And you want maximum flexibility in case, let's say that this doesn't work, not to jinx it, or they decide at some point, the Flint Hills Wellness Coalition says resources can be spent otherwise. They really don't want to continue to do it. This gives us the ability to go ahead and end that and places responsibility on them.
Remove it.
On them to remove it. And if not, then the county will do it at their expense. So, they were very cooperative. I would say, I would like to say that Ms. Ness was very cooperative in working out the terms of this agreement.
So if they decide to remove it, if something happens, they don't want the freezer or refrigerator, they have to remove the slab as well?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely. They'll make arrangements with the contractor. But hopefully this will go on for many years. It's a successful program. Somebody else other than me will be dealing many, many years down the road, wrapping it up and trying desperately to find the file where that agreement is. All right. Thank you. That's all I have. Unless you have questions.
Yeah, the board approved the license agreement as presented.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded on the approval of license agreement with Flint Hills Wellness Coalition. All those in favor?
Aye.
Chairman, please.
Having fun this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Pay attention, because
I know.
January's not that far away. Okay, we'll be here.
Next, Commissioners, you have Shiloh Hager at 9:30.
So I was catching something on the Hayes Post. Tuesday. Apparently one of their 2-lane bridges there in Ellis County on the Saline River collapsed.
Oh,
Fell
really?
completely in. They're using their bridge revenue fund, which I believe is, I know the city of Hayes used all their stuff out of sales tax. I don't know about the county, but they're using their revenue fund, bridge revenue fund to fix it. It's a prime example of why this type of sales tax.
Did they say how many people were impacted?
They didn't. It was a pretty short article, and I get a chance to talk to my buddy who lives out in Hayes. He can probably fill in the gaps a little more on that. Whole bottom part of the deck just caved. Kind of similar to what happened out at Stockdale, I'm assuming 2 years ago.
Right.
How you doing, Sam?
Good.
Good movies?
No Time to Die.
What?
No Time to Die.
Is that with the Gerard Butler? No, it's James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond.
Yeah, pretty good.
Oh,
Well, it has one of the best trailers I think I've ever seen.
this is cover half.
Good.
I've heard 2 people said they cried at the end of it.
It's pretty emotional. I think.
Oh, okay.
It's his big last goodbye. His final movie as Bond.
Morning, Shiloh.
Which makes no sense to me. I can understand somebody getting a little tired of it, but it's not like it's keeping him from doing other things. Knives Out series.
He is also in his 50s.
I'm sorry?
He's also in his 50s. He's injured himself quite a bit in this movie.
Okay.
So he's
Fair enough.
tired of it.
Oh, that makes sense.
He doesn't use stuntmen there.
There you go. I remember.
Oh, they probably do for the big ones, but some of those scenes still.
Pretty demanding up until the point where you jump off the cliff.
Yeah, there's one in this one. It's all supposed to look like one take. And I don't know where they could. There's one part I can see where they got stuff in. The rest is him. It's definitely him doing it.
Wow. Maybe that's when he decided it was gonna be his last.
Tom
one.
Cruise. I don't know
Like
how
Tom
he-
Cruise on
he
one
lives
jumping
through that
between
stuff.
buildings, he broke his ankle or something, you know, and he does a lot of his own stuff.
I remember that when they left that in the picture too. You can tell that he's injured himself.
Was that at the IMAX?
No Time to Die? Yeah. It was really good.
One that amazes me is Jackie Chan. That guy, he does everything himself,
Oh, yeah.
and it's just so athletic, amazing.
Any thoughts?
I do my own stuff.
Okay.
This isn't a.
How often do you injure yourself, just for record?
It's not a stunt trailer.
No.
I might say my pure existence is a stunt. I don't know.
Just going to the gym, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a stunt double for that.
That's why I go to the gym, so I don't become a stunt double.
I mean, stunt person for mowing the grass.
Goats.
Goats,
I keep
yeah. I
seeing
don't know if
goats.
those are allowed in the city though.
Technicalities.
They probably go to my neighbors, they wouldn't like that. So I'll never.
You never know,
fence.
they might. They don't have to mow either. It's a communal benefit.
Just put one of those underground wire and put a collar on it, it's in your yard.
I don't think so. Goats are not.
Or they make good cheese.
They smell pretty bad.
Yeah, they do.
We live next to
Nothing's perfect.
some people when I was a kid that had a bunch of goats in their pens. Ew,
They get a little temperamental too.
they do.
The Billies do, for sure.
my daughter got to do an autopsy this week on the goat. And so she sent me some lovely pictures. See?
Yeah. Maybe she'll crack the code on that. We can figure out why they're so temperamental.
It was like that historical story about the doctor. Go
Mhm.
ahead.
Oh, yeah. The Wakefield. where it's from.
Yeah.
Milford
Or
was.
Milford, yeah.
Yeah,
One of those places, one of those.
that was a crazy story. I thought it was.
My grandpa had a big white male goat that got temperamental and took him one day, and the next day the goat was dinner.
It's part of that goats don't understand it. Well, on that note, it is 9:30.
Can you follow that?
If you can follow up with something better than that, Shiloh, that'll be amazing.
Well, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Shiloh Hager, Riley County Treasurer, here with your September, AKA third quarter revenue numbers. Can't believe we're 3/4 through the year already. But before I get started, just wanted to, so Tuesday was the beginning of my term because treasurer's term starts the second Tuesday in October. So my 4 years started on Tuesday, so I'm glad to be here to serve for another 4 years. So with that, the county general fund balance as of the end of September 30th was $19,459,717.48. We have still the $7 million in our disaster ARPA funds. That fund is now earning interest. When I compared the general fund to September of 2020, we're up about 4.2 million in that fund. And our total funds at the end of September was 53,116,569.97. And when I account for the ARPA funds and then the CARES funds from last year, and when I take both of those out, we're up $5.6 million in all of our funds overall. In year-to-date interest in the general fund was $94,976.26 through the end of September. This represents 47.49% of what we have budgeted, which means we're about 27.5% under budget through the end of September. Year-to-date, we've deposited $2,389.10 into the Sunflower Bank account. And for the first month of September, we deposited $97.42 in the ARPA bank account. As you can see here, our interest rate on our active checking account is 0.04% for the month of September. And we had we let all of the CDs mature on in September because we didn't get any bids that were high enough to keep them invested. Our general fund revenue detail, you can see here, we actually did a tax distribution in September. So you can see kind of where we are year to date through the end of September on our motor vehicle, vehicle rental excise, RVs, commercial, and then our ad valorem taxes. Sales tax came in above budget again. And for the month, we were actually, what we budgeted for the month of September is 13.77% below budget, but year to date, we're sitting at 12.93% over budget. This transfer in for the month of September represented the tax sale costs that we finalized all of the tax sale information in September. And so that's what that transfer in is. And then you can see percentage wise, we've collected 107.43% of the total revenue that was budgeted for calendar year 2021. Any questions on any of that? Okay. As I mentioned before, sales tax, we deposited $345,124.37 into the general fund and the road and bridge fund. This is 38% over what was budgeted for the month. And we are currently 25.83% over budget for sales tax revenue for 2021. And so, and year to date, if you look at our total tax sale or sales tax, we are 14.21% higher than we were September of 2020. And when I compared September of 21 to September of 2020, it's up 34.5%. And these are, this month was a little skewed because last year, remember, we discovered that there was one of the businesses on the Potawatomi County side that we were getting the sales tax for, and so they made that correction. So, and then the use tax, the breakout between use tax and sales tax, you can see here. We're 29% higher in use tax than we were last year, and 35% higher in sales tax than last year. Any questions on any of that?
Yeah, the sales and use tax numbers don't coordinate with any of the other sales tax numbers. What am I missing?
They add, that's the actual total amount of sales tax that was collected in all of Riley County, but it doesn't represent the part that we get.
Oh, that isn't our part. That's everything.
That's
Okay,
everything.
okay.
You could
Yes.
basically cut that number in about, what, 2/3? We only get about.
Yeah, I know we only get a portion.
Yeah,
That's why I was
no,
wondering-
this number is
That's
the
why I was wondering if
total- yeah,
that's
it's the
total sales
total-
tax collected in the county,
Correct,
not our
correct,
portion. That's everybody's.
correct,
Okay.
correct.
It'd be nice.
Just some things going on in our office that I thought I would bring you up to date. Because we did that September distribution, that represents delinquent taxes that we've collected since we did the June distribution. And so I just thought I would point out where we are year to date with an outstanding balance. As of September 30th, our outstanding tax balance for the 2020 tax roll is 2.02%. I looked at where we were at September 30th last year, and our outstanding balance was 1.89%. So we are a little bit, we have a little bit more uncollected than we did last year. We will be doing the final tax distribution at the end of October. That's due on October 29th. And then we'll be closing out the 2020 books and be ready for November 1st is when the 2021 tax roll will come out. We're still really busy with motor vehicle work. Year to date, we've processed 28,810 renewals and 12,098 titles. Titles are up about 1,600 from last year, and renewals are right about exactly like 300 difference. So we're pretty consistent with our motor vehicle numbers. Our Navitas program has seemed to settle down a little bit. We've I think we've got through some, the worst of it, right? And so the state gave us some new procedures and we're able to get through customers a little quicker. We're not getting held up as much as we were last month. And driver's license is we're still pretty booked, pretty solid in our driver's license office. We're booked out about 2 weeks in advance right now. But our new appointment system really seems to be going well. And so we just, as people come in, we just encourage them to take advantage of making those appointments, because it really helps us see what kind of work we have coming in for the day. And we can allocate our resources appropriately. But other than that, I don't have anything else for this month.
Getting closer on that mission statement?
Getting closer.
Okay.
We're working on voting on our words still, so.
Okay. We've got
You'll
some
be-
good words.
You'll be getting something from me, and I think the deadline was the end of next week,
I think so, Sounds good.
And by the way, that was a great day, so thank you for letting us have that time together. It really, I really enjoyed myself, so.
They had really cool, I'm gonna call them baseball shirts with the.
A song.
Yeah,
for
they
the-
did.
That was pretty
It
cool.
was good because they had the names on the back.
Well, there's
Yeah.
only one problem with that. See, those expire at the end of December, so they're gonna have to renew them at some point in time. Isn't that how that works?
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much, and
Thank
I
you.
will see you all next month.
Mhm. Kind of an interesting story, I think, developing with sales tax.
Oh.
Just.
Oh, yeah.
We're seeing positive net increases.
They are.
My perspective, it's great reason to do some of our transportation infrastructure as we're trying to do with this type of funds and revenue.
Imagine what it'd be if the shelves were stocked.
Yeah. Imagine what it would be if we got a little bit more than the, 2.2% that we actually do get out of it.
Well, I heard on the radio today, the unemployment rate is down, so that's good.
It's down here, it's not down nationwide, but
Yeah. Well, they were talking about nationwide. I think it was a national. It was a national report.
they missed
Comes
the,
out.
they missed the jobs report by well over 5.5%, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
They did.
new jobs wasn't, but the unemployment percentage still went down. Because people aren't looking for those jobs.
There's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people that are probably underemployed still at the moment. There are some things this time of the year that kind of start slowing down too, the outside type of work and
Mhm.
employment.
Landscape jobs. that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Right towards the end of the month.
It'd be interesting to see how the holiday season pans out in that regard.
For a lot of reasons.
Some
Well, I
people
mean-
might have to go back into the stores rather than order online.
Well, to me, it's,
There's
Maybe.
not much on the store.
I was gonna say, if they're not on the store shelves, they're not anywhere,
Yeah,
they're probably not
it's not
even in
gonna
a
do
warehouse, so it's not gonna do you any good either way.
Hopefully.
But to find some of those obscured gifts, you probably will have to go in the store this year.
That's what I was.
I'm just gonna be-
It was something I needed, I was Home Depot didn't have it, so I went online. They don't have them, period.
Mhm.
Amazon that way too. They're like unavailable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, most of the time, they give you kind of some time frame as to when it's, gonna be in, and you're not seeing it.
Or they put you on the list and then all of a sudden it's available.
Wait for those going, we're no longer carrying this, sorry.
I was watching the news, I saw they were showing all the boats, all the ships offshore in California, and all the, everything sitting on the dock. I was just trying to straighten that out.
Are you still doing Zoom for the monthly meeting?
Board meeting?
Uh-huh,
We have been, but this month, because it's the board retreat.
Yeah.
It'll be in person.
okay.
It's the one that's at noon. And we have lunch, and do official reports.
We'll be in Kansas City, so just so you know, I won't be able to attend that one.
If you have something you want, reported, just shoot it to me.
Okay. I may send you that digital copy of that sales tax handout to have available, if that would be okay.
We can have that.
Okay, cool.
There's some more in.
Oh, yeah, I actually have
too.
some. I can just
Yeah.
give you some before you leave if that works. Okay.
Yeah, this I can stack.
What's that? Have online.
I got a couple of things I'll pass along.
Okay.
The electronic one fits pretty good.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good if you're printing maybe 5 or 6.
5 or
but
6,
If you're gonna do 100 of them, no.
20.
20 took like 2 hours.
Yeah, oh, okay, so I went back to the office and started working on something.
Come over to our office, we'll be glad to do it.
Yeah.
That's a
Just-
real slow machine.
Just
Yeah.
email Cindy, she'll get on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I brought all the ones I got back. I had her print another 200 of those. And I've got probably 100 or so left, and I put them back in there this morning, so
No,
over there. Next couple of presentations I'm giving are gonna be online, virtual.
Over there.
What's the possibility of getting one of those Riley County lapels without anything on it?
What do you mean without anything on it?
Just a.
The old Clarence over here is modeling.
You want a lapel like that, Ben? Okay,
That's kind of cool.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'll get
We
you
only one.
3 of them.
3 of them.
Maybe just have them put BOCC instead of years served. What's your number on there, by the way?
15.
Okay.
It's wrong.
You
It's
got
always a
one
year
of those
behind.
Always a
Monday.
year behind.
Was that what they were giving out on Monday?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think they were with the packets and certificates.
Yeah, I had them on each of them.
Be nice if they had a magnetic back.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always a
Because
little,
like sweaters, I
punch
can't
holes
put
and
those
stuff,
on
yeah.
because it rips them.
that was a great innovation when that became available.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, you're up.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, as always, for allowing us the opportunity to come over and visit once a month. Subbing in for Darren today. Darren is actually in an airport right now on his way to California with Team Kansas, which is an organization that is managed by the Department of Commerce, but it's made up of economic development organizations across the state who come together to promote Kansas as a place to do business in a variety of locations. So we are participating in 4 events this year between us and Pot County. And so Darren's in California. I was in New York last month, and Jack has represented us at a couple of events from Pot County. So hopefully those will continue to pay dividends. We are starting to get a lot more leads through those efforts. And so we're excited about that. Janet also is absent today. She just got back from DC. So we gave her the day off. She was there for 5 days at the Army Association, U.S. Army Association.
USA.
Army, you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Association of the United States Army. That's it.
I've seen a lot of pictures and stuff from the event.
So, and we had about 15 people there from Raleigh County, as well as some people from Geary County. And the last report I got from her was that things were going really well. It was downsized this year for a variety of reasons, but she reported things were going well. They also made visits to the Hill to talk about some of the priorities, which includes, of course, the airport and making sure the airport runway stays at 150 feet. Just as a little insight, you guys probably know this, but because we were there a couple weeks ago talking about the same thing. FAA has talked a little bit about capping the award on that, which is not typical, and so we would like for them not to cap the award on that and do the 90% that they promised. And so visiting with our delegation about that, as well as some opportunities at Fort Riley to improve the railhead at Camp Funston so they continue to be one of the leading logistics forts in the country, and then potentially some new housing to allow Fort Riley to grow. And so we got positive feedback on that. I heard from Janet, they did as well. So I think that's always a good opportunity for us to get in front of our folks. And so we're excited about that. One of the projects that we're really excited about, Darren just wrapped up, and it actually was a lead from Commissioner McKinley. Worked with a company in Raleigh, Emberwood Sawmill, which was purchased by one of their employees. It's now going to be Emberwoods, but we were able to use our Network Kansas e-community loans that we administer on behalf of the state of Kansas to help provide some gap financing to help them finance that, as well as support an application for Network Kansas Women and Minority Funds, which was able to, basically those two were able to provide roughly 1/3 of the financing for that project. So it's obviously something we have not utilized as well as we should. And Darren, of course, his expertise in startups and entrepreneurship, I think gives us a great opportunity to be able to use that. Just so you know, and I think it's important that you all help us market this. Network Kansas is a Department of Commerce supported program. It provides funds through tax credit sale and loans up to $45,000 per business for gap financing, but you must have a bank loan in process and work with SBDC. But all parts of Raleigh County outside the city limits of Manhattan are eligible. There are a few tracks in Manhattan that are eligible, but everyone outside of Manhattan is eligible for this program. It is gap financing. It's not supposed to be the 100% of the financing. But as you talk to some of your constituents, if you see people who are in need of that, make sure and let Darren know, and he can start that process. And hopefully we'll get more of those funds out into Raleigh County because they're there to use. And so we need to use them. One other program that we've not talked about here that just wanted you all to be aware of. We supported, this about 9 months ago, the Flynn Hills Regional Council's EDA grant application. And one of the requests that Christy made as part of that process is she wanted the counties involved in that to help match the grant from EDA. And we agreed at that point to pay 3 years of Raleigh County's portion, which is around $24,000. We made that first payment a couple months ago, and we've agreed to make, as long as they continue through that process, and it appears they are, because they're starting those meetings Friday. We're going to continue to pay that portion for the next 2 years. And so just wanted you all to be aware of that, because we have not talked about that in here before. But I believe Jack paid Pot County's portion, the Pot County EDC. And I think Junction City, the city of Junction City may have paid Geary County's portion. So, and it was prorated, so ours was obviously the largest. But I think that's something, especially if we're able to leverage that for additional funding from EDA, I think that's going to be incredibly impactful for the entire county going forward. And of course, a lot of the work the Flint Hills Regional Council does is in the non-Manhattan communities in the region. And so we obviously want to continue to be supportive of that. Last thing we want to talk about, and I'm going to bring George up. You all know George's work in terms of visiting with companies. And the thing that we always talk about is we can gather this data, but if we don't do anything with it, then it's irrelevant. And so George is going to talk about an effort that he is coordinating through the chamber and using some Raleigh County resources in terms of addressing needs that were identified by companies inhibiting their ability to grow. So I'm going to ask George to come up and talk about that, and then we can take questions.
Okay. Thank you, Jason, and good morning, commissioners. Good to see you today. I'm excited to be here to report that we are launching a great new initiative on childcare. So one of the issues that we identified through all of our surveys we've done with area businesses is obviously a workforce issue, labor supply. And one of the fundamental reasons employers are having a hard time finding workers is the lack of childcare in our region, really. And it's not just here, but it's all over the country. And so the chamber is really excited to put together a task force to address the childcare needs here in our area. And we've put together a great group of folks. There are several actually from Raleigh County Health Department who are on the task force. They've been really great resources helping us. I'll just mention a couple. Heather Ritchie, who's the child care licensing supervisor, Jan Scheidemann, who leads the Raising Riley program, and Angie Hobbs as well, who's a surveyor with the Raleigh County Health Department. So they're very involved in our task force. We're looking forward to working with them. We're just getting started, okay? So we just had our first meeting a few weeks ago. This task force will meet monthly moving forward. We hope to put together a proposal. So really the goal with this is to evaluate some of the studies that have already been done. You know, there have been groups that have looked at childcare over the last several years. review some of that data, some of those studies, evaluate where are the gaps, what are the needs, and then put together an executable proposal, an action plan with concrete steps to address some of the childcare gaps and needs that we have. And we've already identified a couple of things. First of all, it's childcare worker wages. A lot of childcare providers cannot hire enough employees, enough teachers, workers, professionals because of the labor market. Wages for childcare providers are pretty low. And, a lot of workers are choosing to go to other kinds of professions where they can. So what can we do to support childcare providers with providing wages, mentoring, some of those kinds of things as well. The other thing is facilities, capacity. What can we do to increase the capacity of childcare services? Is it working with our existing providers? Yes. Is it exploring options for a new facility? Perhaps. Do we do a public-private kind of partnership where we explore the business community, private sector, working with the public sector to come up with some kind of a solution around childcare? So these are some ideas that this task force will evaluate and address. Also, I just want to let you know, some other folks on the task force, we have a really good group. It's a good mix between business folks. So some of the leading employers as well as small business are represented on this task force. So we have a good mix of the business community. We have several different childcare providers as well who are on this task force. And then we also have, in addition to the Riley County folks, we have the Greater Manhattan Community Foundation as well involved, some folks from K-State as well, and then also the state of Kansas. So I think we have a good group and we're excited to tackle this issue. I know it is a challenging one, but hopefully this group will come up with some good solutions that will make a difference. Any questions?
Yeah, George, on the childcare, there are a lot of churches that provide that. Are you including those
Yes.
some of those groups in?
Absolutely, yeah. So some of the childcare providers on our task force are from some of the churches, church preschools and daycares. Yeah, and there are several. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
There are several.
So are those on your task force or not?
They are, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So we have, let's see. First United Methodist Church, their preschool. Also another, the preschool at First Lutheran Church as well. They're on there. And I think that's it at this point. Are there others that you recommend?
Well, the First Christian Church up in Cobra Hills has a daycare, and also the other Lutheran church that is now out on Anderson, they have preschools too. I don't know how well attended they are, but they have fairly new facilities.
Great.
And I think this will be multifaceted where you have maybe a group that works on some of the bigger ideas, and then as you get the ideas, you start vetting them in groups where you bring in more people that maybe fit exactly into that realm. So because we tried to get a good representation of nonprofit, religious, in-home. There's a couple of in-home providers that are on that task force as well. So we can, because each one of them has their own challenges. So, but we definitely want to make sure that we've got a good list of all those. So thank you for.
And Greg, are there some up in Riley that in the churches at different places?
The churches don't have them.
There's private individuals.
There's
Yeah,
private
private.
ones up there, but there aren't
No,
the churches.
a larger.
No, there's not a larger ones, they're all smaller.
And Leonardville and all that.
I don't know.
They're all private.
I would ask if you have constituents or know of childcare providers or folks who are really interested and really vested in this, let me know, and we'd love to involve in this process.
Right.
If not as a task force member, as some kind of advisory role or whatever, but we'd love to work with them.
Yeah, at least identifying where they are.
Exactly.
Who they are.
Right, yeah, that'd be helpful.
All right, any other questions for any of us?
Just a question, I'm not sure, Jason, you're probably best, but what kind of work you guys do on a regular basis, keeping track of wages in our area, cost of living related to childcare? But I talked to Ron here at the city, I talked to business people. No one can find staff. Everyone's saying they're falling behind in wages. You know, time and time again, we're compared to cost of living, maybe equal to, maybe higher than Johnson County. So where you guys, what type of work you doing? I know the city's working on doing a study on that.
And we supported that because we have found that housing compared to wages in Manhattan is higher than our peers. So we're interested in that housing study. So one of the things George does, we do the reporting for the ACCRA, well, it used to be ACCRA, now it's C2ER, cost of living index. So we gather all that data, George does, on a quarterly basis, and we get those reports. So we're happy to share those if you're interested. But then the wage data comes out, I guess quarterly, or and we have all that data tracked. I mean, you know, it's a lot of it's anecdotal at this point, but in terms of the data, we have all that if there's something specific that you're interested in. I think the challenges we're facing right now are challenges across the board nationally, because when I talk to our peers, it's the same story. And this has all been, I don't know, caused or exacerbated or what by the pandemic, because this was, you know, we were seeing a little bit of this but not to the extent that we're seeing now. And so, you know, we don't know what's causing that, but we're trying to figure it out. But yeah, it's cost of living, housing compared to wages, and that tends to run higher than our regional peers.
Well, what's scary is what they're saying about natural gas prices and propane prices this winter, 54% higher for the Midwest, and what that does for other economic development monies to be spread in the community.
I mean, inflation is a concern right now. We're seeing prices go up in a lot of areas. So yeah, it's, you know, obviously all those things are impactful to us. And where we can see we can make a difference locally, we're going to try to do that. I'm afraid most of these issues are a little more macro and maybe even global in scale, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try to figure out what we can do locally to help.
Thank you.
Sure. I'll be happy to provide that data for you all as well, cost of living and wages.
Okay, sounds good.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Good.
I'm good. I'm gonna get you some brochures.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Julie, how you doing?
Hello, good, how are you?
Right.
We lost the chair. I guess you can take over now.
I grab this hammer there.
Thank you guys. Yeah, take care of the weekend.
Okay, so I will make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Commission and reconvene as the Board of County Health.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, morning, Julie.
Good morning. Here with my monthly report, and as usual, Shelley's provided the budget actual for September with the usual explanations as to the highlighted areas under revenues and expenses. So this slide looks pretty identical to what it has looked like in the past. A lot of this is due to the timing of grants and then COVID funding as well. Or COVID, I should say. Speaking of COVID, we do not have updated numbers as of yet. We were supposed to have them yesterday. We had a lengthy leadership meeting and then we had a power outage that put Renee behind, and she actually had to take the trailer out to Riley grade school this morning. So she's coming back to the health department and she'll get those numbers.
What's the deal with the power situation there? Is there just a block in that entire area?
I'm
or
not
is
sure
it
what
just
the deal is. Our
Sam was out too. I live right across.
okay? So it's not just
No, it wasn't just our building.
Okay.
It was the area.
I've just been curious about that. Okay.
yours come back on about 11:30.
Yeah.
So, luckily, our generator kicked in at the health department and set up there.
Okay,
So,
good.
yeah.
Good.
We do have fewer cases coming in. We're only seeing about 5 to 8 cases per day. Our percent positive is also trending down. We've been under 5% for 3 weeks now and hopefully 4 weeks. We'll continue to monitor the hospital situation, but so far our numbers are staying low there as well. Testing numbers are a lot lower. The demand has definitely gone down. We are still testing every weekday from 8 to 5 at the mall in coordination with KDHE. And we're still offering saliva and rapid now on Saturdays from 9 to noon at the health department, no appointment necessary. We'll do that throughout this month. We'll evaluate to determine if we need to go further with that. Regular COVID vaccines are kind of at a standstill. We did go to USD 384 to vaccinate last week for their staff and students. We'll be at Riley today from 4 to 6, offering the vaccine to any student or staff who still needs to be vaccinated. Our clinic is really focusing on the flu to get as many people vaccinated as we can before we start into those Moderna boosters, which will probably be approved by next week, late next week or early the following week. And then we also are waiting on the Pfizer approval for the kids 5 to 11, and that will probably come after the meeting on the 26th, I believe. So it will be soon. We're trying to get through as many flu vaccine clinics as we can to get that out there before we start in with COVID vaccines again. Speaking of youth vaccine plan, we're working with the schools. So we did set aside 2 Saturdays, the 13th of November and the 4th of December, with USD 383 to vaccinate kids once the Pfizer vaccine is approved. And we're starting an information campaign for parents who still may have some hesitation to get their kids vaccinated. Flu clinics, we've been really busy with flu clinics. We've got, through all the city employees, county employees have the option to come this week. We are vaccinating all USD 383 staff and family tomorrow morning. And then we will have our 9th annual Oktoberfest on the 21st. I still have trouble saying that. But that'll be next Thursday from 3 to 6:30 at the Weston Conference Room. We're doing the vaccinations inside and then all activities outside if the weather is good.
You know, you have the opportunity to come up with a new name if you want.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, we're excited for that. And then we also have walk-in Wednesdays. We've been seeing a lot of individuals just walk into the clinic on Wednesdays to get their flu vaccine. As far as staff updates, I have a lot. We have a lot of open positions. We still have 1 full-time nurse position available. We did offer that position to a candidate, and so hopefully all will work out and we'll have that filled. But we also have another full-time position, that's the temporary position, which we call the Vaccination Nurse. That is with our additional funding that was approved. That's our 3-year position, so we still have that available. We also have our full-time social work position available through MCH. That's been out for quite a while, so we're trying to think of new ways to recruit for that position. We also now have our full-time Raising Riley clerk position available. We have a lot of candidates for that, and so we're starting interviews actually this afternoon for that position. And we actually have quite a few candidates that have applied for the child care licensing surveyor position. So we'll start interviews soon for that as well. One of these days we'll be fully staffed.
Don't jinx yourself.
I know. As far as program updates, WIC is still offering more money for fruits and vegetables through, actually should be through December. They did get word that this is through the rest of the year now. They'll also be out at some trick-or-treating events in Wamego and at the mall to try to recruit more clients for WIC. Raising Riley did attend the Little Britches consignment auction for community outreach on Saturday, September 25th. They made contact with 157 children and 236 adults. They're also planning to join the trick-or-treating fun at West Loop on the 29th to provide goodies for the kids and information for parents about their programs and classes coming up. Raising Riley is currently helping the families of 212 children with childcare expenses. And they do have a family engagement event coming up at the end of October on the 28th, and they'll be painting pumpkins. So more information to come out about that later. The clinic's really busy with children's immunizations, with the flu shot, and prepping for that 3rd dose once Moderna is approved. Child care licensing is investigating 7 complaints, and they have 11 initial surveys. They fingerprinted 19 individuals in the month of September. And Heather continues to participate monthly in the statewide child care licensing System Improvement Team. She met with the City of Manhattan Chamber and local childcare providers for their input regarding the task force that the chamber is putting together. She also met with Clay County Economic Development to explain childcare licensing and their role in Clay County. And childcare licensing currently has 272 facilities between all 5 communities that they're surveying. MCH is creating a 4-class series called Becoming a Family, much like their Becoming a Mom series. Each will be held at each quarter beginning in February, this upcoming February. Classes will be preparing to pump, infant and child CPR and first aid, baby cues, and 4th trimester. And then our chronic disease risk reduction program, Millie is our coordinator for that program. She is busy with the Resist chapter at the Boys and Girls Club in the middle school. So Resist program is designed to help kids resist temptations to smoke cigarettes or vape. It's a program that Millie leads, but ultimately it's teaching kids to influence their peers with good habits. Right now, there's a chapter in middle school through the Boys and Girls Club, but she's also working on one in the high school. Along with that, she's promoting smoking cessation program or the Can Quit line to programs at the health department. So it's an easy referral to Millie if one of our dietitians or nurses comes across somebody who wants to quit smoking. Renee is our emergency preparedness coordinator. She's managing the COVID response, which includes the contact tracers, but she's also getting back to her original job of leading preparedness drills. She's actually scheduled to present at the Kansas Association for Counties conference next week. Shanika is our health educator, and along with helping to answer incoming calls and emails in response to COVID, which those have definitely slowed down, she's assisting with the community health improvement plan. We have hired Connie Statzler. She was the individual who did our community health improvement plan in 2015. So she is going to be busy with focus groups and analyzing data that comes in through our community health assessment and other data sets. She'll also be seeking input from community leaders to show our gaps in the community and what we need to do to fill those gaps. Shanika is also working with our branding grant, which includes a more unified look for the health department when it comes to our website, marketing materials, and social media. So this was in place before we hired a PIO. So she's working also with Alice on this, so it looks identical to Riley County. With this grant, we also have funds to help with advertising our services. So she's been working with all of the program coordinators to put together short PSAs about what we have to offer. You may have heard some of those PSAs. She's been working with K-Man Broadcasting, Cox Cable, Eagle Radio, and a few more. She's also working with our Employee Wellness Committee to establish activities to create a healthier environment. To be able to determine exactly what our needs are, we did conduct an employee satisfaction survey. So this should be done annually, but we skipped 2020 for obvious reasons. But the last survey was done in 2019. And really what this is intended to do is to determine what we need to be doing better as the health department and what we can do to better service our employees. And it's really intended to also help boost morale. So I have some of those survey results. I'm not going to show you the whole thing because it would take forever, but I do have those survey results. So if you would like me to share them with you, I certainly can. It was completed by everybody. 72% fully completed this. So we did have some that skipped an answer or two. We did have this available for 2 weeks and sent them 3 reminders to fill this out. So one thing that we wanted to know is, do they know what's expected of them in their position? I was kind of shocked by this a little bit. There was one person that totally disagreed. There were a few that somewhat disagreed to this statement. So that just goes to show that we need to do a better job of checking in with our employees and make sure that they know what's expected of them at orientation. Supervisors can check in. We have shared these results with all of our supervisors and our wellness team so that we can really take a deep dive into what we need to be doing better as a health department. Another thing that we wanted to know is, do they feel like their work makes a difference to the health of the Riley County community? Most would agree to this or somewhat agree to this, but we did have a few that would somewhat disagree. So still improvement to be made here. We want to know about communication. This is something that we've always kind of struggled with as a health department in the past. And, some of it's due to the fact that we do have 2 buildings, but we can do a better job of communicating even with that barrier. So communication between them and their direct supervisor is effective. Most would agree or somewhat agree to this, but again, we had a few disagree. So we do need to work on communication between supervisors and their employees. And this is where we're really suffering between their program and other Raleigh County programs, Raleigh County Health Department programs. When we asked about communication between these programs, is it effective? We had 49% somewhat agree and only 8% agree to this. So we have a lot of work that needs to be done in regards to making sure that we're communicating and collaborating between programs. And then we wanted to know if we provided enough resources for them to effectively do their job. So training, funding, supplies, equipment. And, you know, we can only do so much with this, so we have to keep that in mind, but most would agree or somewhat agree. We have 67% agree, 26% somewhat agree that they did have the tools necessary to do their job. In my program is outstanding performance recognized in a meaningful way. This we really need to do some work on, and I think this would take a deeper dive into really determining what is meaningful for the employee, because what could be meaningful for me might be not for somebody else, you know, so we really need to determine what that is for individuals. We have done more in this area. We started a monthly kudos. So I asked supervisors to pick out someone from their program who's going above and beyond with their work and even outside of work if they know some things that they've done. So we tried to highlight those individuals. And that lasted for a while, and then we did get some responses from another survey that said that those weren't very meaningful to people. So again, it's just determining what is meaningful for employees.
Julie, can I ask you a quick question? Can you identify which supervisor, and which employees are, you know, not happy or what?
No, I know that they tried that in the beginning, and then that participation went down.
Okay.
Because it was not anonymous, and yeah.
Okay.
So we can't
It's
do
just
that.
an overall general.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, a couple of things to point out here is we've been in a long pandemic for 18 months. You've had an insane amount of turnover. So there's not been an opportunity to really create a path forward and a focus and a vision and be able to build that continuity for it. So in my estimation, most of this isn't really all that surprising. I mean,
Right.
I understand, I certainly want to improve on all of those, but it's not a really complete shock of any kind, considering the dynamics of everything.
Yeah, true. And then just one more that I wanted to highlight, we wanted to know if they're proud to be a member of the health department. And I'm glad that 82% would agree with this statement, but we still had some that would disagree with this. So still there's always improvement to be made.
That's probably, if you pull any organization, private or public, it's gonna be something pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have one new initiative that I wanted to highlight. I mentioned this, I believe, last month or the month before, but we do have 2 employees going through the American Red Cross training program so they can be trained to train others on CPR and first aid. So now we can offer classes at a discount for clients and community members. It's very hard to find classes in the community. If you've ever done a search, it's hard to find classes. I know Levine does some classes, and I believe there's some through U of M, but hopefully this would help our clients for sure. And we could definitely offer this for any other Raleigh County employee at no cost. And of course, our employees at no cost. So that will be in January. They'll be going through that course. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Anything? No? Okay. Probably see a COVID update today.
Yeah.
Something like
A little bit later this morning.
that, just in case that comes up. Okay. Okay, that's all I have. I guess we'll see you in Kansas City next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thanks, Julie. Motion.
Yeah. Make a motion that we recess as the Board of County Health and reconvene as the Board of County Commission.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Tammy Robinson at 10:30.
Okay. Good morning, good morning.
Little bit of a break.
Doing good. How about yourself?
Well, love loving the weather.
Yes, that makes two of us.
Yeah.
Warm in here.
Just hold on to it.
It seems like there's gonna be some peaks and valleys there, but maybe we won't hit 80 degrees again for the rest of the.
I'm okay with that.
I am too. I'm gonna go to
It's the
K-State game
90s.
Saturday night and I'm like 65. I'm like, I'll probably dip into the 50. I can deal with it.
Yeah, those night games can be
Yeah,
really chilly. But then again, the ones that are at 95 degrees, they're not even fun.
No.
so.
I've sat through a few of those. Those may be, I've sat through a couple of those cold, rainy,
Oh, yeah.
mid-November games. They're not real fun either, but
No.
when it's 95 degrees and you're out there on the pavement, it's just, it's horrible. Might not have been a big deal when I was young, I guess, but
Especially when you're on the east side. it
yeah.
Really gets,
I know.
fortunately, I'm on the west side. so I'm like that. And when the sun goes back behind it.
Yeah, and it usually
Press
kind
box,
of
it's not too bad.
6:30ish there. It kind of folds back behind the West Stadium Center there and it's cool.
Yeah.
It's happened some of those chilly morning 11 a.m. games too in mid to late November, but I'm just dressed appropriately for that. It's
I'd
not
rather
too
have
bad.
those than the 6:30 and 9. Because you know you're gonna get a little warmer usually. This is Farmageddon this week.
Yep. Yep.
How's
Iowa State game's usually a pretty good game.
How are they doing this
particularly
year?
Same
Iowa
record.
State, yeah, same record. They were supposed to be a top 5, top 10 type team
This year and last year.
and yeah. They were closer last year.
We're pretty close.
I think it's a make or break it game for us.
For both teams.
It is. Yeah.
They have great fans, though.
Yeah, they do. Iowa State's pretty much like us.
Yeah. So. Well, so some of the departments. Constantly working. Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, and then I guess you can just like understand if we're doing a by check.
And I told him.
No, I think as long as you get it to me, you should know. So we just did it this Wednesday, so we'll be next week, we'll be back Wednesday.
Well,
It came to me,
He was the first sheriff in Valley County.
Seth Child.
Yeah.
So we have to-
That one I got.
I didn't get that.
Got that one.
I got that one.
I guess.
That one too.
I learned that history from Cheryl on the name of the road.
Yeah.
Seth Child.
Yeah, I knew about it and I asked her about it one of the first times I went up there. Had a long conversation about that, yeah. It was supposed to be in honor of his children. And it's technically and grammatically spelled wrong and pronounced wrong.
But-
Seth Child's.
Yeah, because we call it Seth
Yeah,
Child.
this was
It's not
Seth
Seth
Children.
Child. No. Yeah, there were some of those we were just going, I don't know. We had a whole bunch of Bs in a row. We're not gonna pick Bs. We had no clue on some of them.
The interesting thing about that trivia too was it was balanced, wasn't just dealing with people or events
There
or,
was a lot of
That was a lot of-
Interesting.
yeah, a lot of different. I was talking to Dave, after I came in and interviewed, he says, yeah, it's tough to come up with trivia outside of the city, just the county part of it. But
Yeah.
you do it, right? No problem.
Well, have to remember the city is in the county.
That's right. You know, it's funny, he was talking about the train depot. Theodore Roosevelt, he mentioned that on the thing there, and I told everybody, I said, there's a picture of it right there. I guess I don't remember the original location of the depot. It's not that far off, is it?
I don't either.
Mhm.
I don't either.
But it wasn't that the original.
Well, it's original, but it's not on the original location.
Oh, it is.
Uh-uh.
For some reason, I'm thinking it was south of
I think it was over there in the,
Fort Riley Boulevard.
yeah, over there where
By
that Potawatomi
MCM,
is.
over in
Yeah.
that area. We know our history. We know that.
I know. That's why I got 11 out of 33, I guess.
Well, I wonder if that says. Sorry, Christian, I'm looking directly above your head. That's fine on you.
Don't trust him. Don't trust him.
East bank of the Blue River at Manhattan.
So that would indicate it was further east.
Located on Fort Riley Boulevard, present location. Doesn't necessarily say.
I'd be curious on that.
Yeah. Always thought that building would have made a really cool restaurant with the right type of restaurant. When we were first trying to figure out what to do with it, you know?
Yeah.
That's what the Leavenworth,
Mhm.
the depot, that's what.
Oh, that's so cool going there for breakfast. I've done that several times.
Yeah.
The Union Pacific train station, isn't it? That's done one.
Which one it is.
Yeah, I've had breakfast there a couple times. That's exactly what you should do with it. I think the only thing here is it's different than that one is they technically had a restaurant in it to begin with. Oh, and so they've kind of set up for a kitchen, you know. Here you kind of have to set the kitchen up and kind of add it on or something
Right.
to make that work. But you could do it.
Mhm.
Be possible. You can
The
do
other
some.
In Leavenworth, Pullman still open?
I have not been up in Leavenworth in like my grandmother passed away and
It's called the Pullman. It wasn't down there. It was down in
Yeah.
our town, but it was completely full of railroad. It was somebody that collected railroad history stuff. They had old dishes from different railroads and pictures and stuff. I mean, the whole inside of it was full.
along with the Carousel Museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carousel Museum.
Their community center over there, that over on the riverfront over there, that's pretty cool too. So
Yeah, that was the old, the old depot down by the river.
even Lincoln, it's old enough to where even Lincoln made a couple of campaign stops there during this.
Really?
Can't,
C-A-N-T.
K-A-N-D-T. I always forget that. And
The
have
D?
to think about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always remember it's with a K.
Yeah, they do good breakfast there.
Always
With
change.
a plate of pancakes. I mean, it's plate sized.
At the Leavenworth Train Depot.
Yeah, I made that mistake. I don't remember what I ordered and I wanted just a side of pancakes with it. And It's not a side, it's two, I mean, plate-sized pancakes, like,
I'll have to
holy
go there
cow.
before my daughter leaves that community
Yeah,
She's in Leavenworth.
doctorate program for physical therapy.
Oh,
that's St. Mary's.
Daughter and future son-in-law both.
You're sure on that?
Yeah, until Rich scares him off.
Yeah.
Already did. That already attempted.
That's where I was going. You beat me to it.
Oh, both of them said, that because they asked me, both of them. And ask each one what they said, so I don't know, I blacked out. I'm sure my daughters prepared them well for their.
Yeah. That's the way that usually works in general, isn't it?
It's like, what'd you say when you asked me? I don't know, I blacked out.
I'm still alive. That's all that counts.
He was cleaning his gun at the moment.
Yeah.
I think it worked out all right.
I never seen anybody put shotgun shells in so slowly and methodically.
I had a farmer friend out in McDonald who his daughter was the same age as mine, and every time she brought somebody home for a date, he'd have the gun sitting next to the recliner. Kept everybody in line. He did it for fun. He just,
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
My younger daughter, one time, there was a guy come and pick her up. She was freshman or sophomore. And my son, his friends who are all 3 years older, all met him at the door.
It is
And they were
10:30.
Big guys.
A couple of them were really big guys. And this guy wasn't. She was not happy.
I looked embarrassed.
Go ahead, Tammy.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Tammy Robinson, Budget and Finance Officer. I'm here with the cash flow statements for September. We'll start with CIP. You can see as of the end of September, we were 75% into the year. On the revenue side, under September, the $1,924, that is radio interest income as well as tower rent. One thing to point out there on the tower rent, so far for the year, which if you go back up to April, you can see we have $14,043 in there. A couple of payments were made then. One more payment was made in September, but of those dollars, we have to give 25% back to the landowners. So the reason September looks relatively low, because only 1,800 is going in there as a net, is because of the portion that went back to pay the landowners. And also under the reimbursement line item, that $234,042, that's federal fund exchange dollars that John had come in and talked to you about. Those monies go in here, and then we reserve those, which you can see below in that box on the left under the federal fund exchange, and he uses those for future transportation costs. So then when we go over to the expenditures, we just had a small expenditure of $750 go out for the month of September. The total for the year is 1.3 million. And then down below, you can see on the right side is the amount of budget that we've expended, which is just under 15%. And you can see our budgeted revenue has met 100% of what we budgeted. On the left side, you can see the cash reconciliation. So if you see our beginning uncovered cash, the revenues, the expenses, you can see the ending uncovered cash as of September 30th. And then when you take into account the projects that have already been approved but not been spent, as well as the reserves that are noted in this box below, our unreserved cash would be just over 3.7 million. Are there any questions on CIP? Okay, the next 2 pages gives you the detail. The ones in blue are the ones that have been completed, and if you go over to the right-hand column, you can see the completed projects over and under of the approved estimates. Is there any question on the details? The next one is just a quick snapshot to show you what we've spent for the year in comparison to our budget. Again, that was just under the 15% mark. Moving on to the building cash flow. You can see 21,242 came in with tax dollars in September. Shiloh will transfer over those funds one more time this year in October. And you can see on the expenditure column for September, we spent 20,873, and for the year, it's $218,058. If you look at that to compare what our budget being spent, it's 55.49% of our budget. And our revenues have met that 100% mark. And on the left-hand side, on the cash reconciliation, beginning cash, revenue, expenses, you can see that as of the end of September, we had $180,607 remaining in the budget, the building fund. And then just a quick depiction showing you what we've spent in comparison to the budget. Are there any questions on county building? Get my notes on this next one. Okay, so for the month of September, we spent $14,959. That was partially the sales tax election expenses that we fronted, as well as the auto lane development costs that we have with Briggs that we pay out a portion. We give them a rebate back against their taxes of that $6,057 every year up till 2024. And then the last expense we had was $2,181 down in the rewrite zoning subdivision projects that planning and development is working. So the total for the year is $304,119. We've expended 75.78% of our budget. Of course, that is a transfer in, so the revenue is at 100% as well. And if you walk through the beginning unencumbered cash plus revenue less expenditures, you can see at the end of September, we had $147,715. If we spent every dollar that we had in our budget, we would end the year with $7,915. Normally, we don't expect to do that, but we do go ahead and reflect so that you can see what we've budgeted and what we would have to spend if we chose to. Here's the detail of the year-to-date expenditures. And then again, a depiction of what we've spent for year-to-date in comparison to the budget. Is there any questions on economic development? Okay, the last one is the sales tax fund. September brought in $172,562 in sales tax revenue. We spent $162. Total for the year on expenditures is just over $350,000. That equates to 8.11% of our budget. And at this point, as of the end of September, we've already met our budget in revenues. So anything beyond that is just additional dollars. On the left side, your cash reconciliation, again, beginning cash, the revenue, the expenditures gives you ending unencumbered cash as of September 30th at $5.6 million. And then we have some estimates left to spend on projects expected in 2021, which would give us unencumbered cash at $5.3 million. This is the detail of the projects that have been approved in the sales tax fund. The blue ones are the ones that are completed. And then the last page gives you what we've spent year to date in comparison to the budget. Are there any questions on sales tax? Okay, that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Already over budget for sales tax. Yeah. I just mentioned that because once again, it shows what's using sales tax rather than just property tax, because you can actually end up with more than what we've estimated, which I think is what's going to happen, and allow us to finish some of these projects and do some of these other things in a 5-year period a little bit quicker, where we won't be able to do that through other means. So just another thought. I don't have anything else this morning, so I don't know if anybody else does. This is the last item, so.
But the ambulance and emergency management building, we sent out just a request for qualifications. It isn't the thing. But when it goes to RFP, I mean, they had made a list, but we really didn't get, I thought we had to have a meeting with Adams and Russell about what all they're requesting. You know, because they're just saying, like say for one thing, having a 10 stall garage, is that, it seems like a lot. I'd like more detail of why they were, you know, why they were asking for all that. It just
Rich, would maybe that be good to do second part of a county officials luncheon on the 8th? Amanda's gonna talk 25-30 minutes on comprehensive planning. We reserve the rest of that time for this discussion.
Isn't there a printed thing that they had when they're requesting the?
I mean, most of what they're doing is actually in the RFQ at this point in time, but
yeah, but
I understand, I actually understand the 10 stalls because they're double stalls, so it's still 5, they're just
Yeah, I know,
spreading out
but
the space.
do we have 10 vehicles that we need to store there? Or do we need to store everything there, or is there a plate? Do we need all that in town? Some of that stuff is only used seldom. Do we need to have a plate? You know, and that's why I just like to have a discussion. I'm not saying it's wrong. I just think a more detailed explanation of why. Before we get, I mean, it doesn't affect the qualifications, but when we get to the final stages of stuff, and maybe, I don't know if it needs to be before the RFP or after we select, before we give the list to the architect,
we're probably not gonna get to that particular point until probably well into next year.
Right, I know, and I'm not saying it had to be done tomorrow, I'm just saying, to me,
8th,
we need more.
we do that.
Excuse me?
Can we do that on the county officials luncheon?
But what I'm thinking is it'd probably be a better discussion for a work session on the commissioner's agenda rather than just staff, where it's.
Right. Yeah, there's just a
more
couple
here.
of them that need.
I just sounds to me like it's better suited for a work session because it in itself could take a half hour or longer by the time you have Russell, David, EOC discussion, and then possible discussion on dispatch, and that could be a pretty lengthy, because I imagine RCPD would show up, and so that's why I think you need to have that, and I think it's a good discussion to have.
Just to see exactly what all we're, I mean, I know we need something, I know, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
I'll send an email
like
to
more
David and
more
Russell and
detailed
John
things
about
sometime.
getting on the agenda about more detailed information on what they believe they need in the facility. But I agree with John. I think staff has one thing in mind, but that's why you get the request for qualifications. Then they'll sit down, kind of like when we did the space needs study for the facilities. We did a request for qualifications, pick the candidate, and then they go around and interview each department and commissioners and say, okay, based on what your needs are for the next 30, 40 years,
Right.
here's how you have to build it, you know, and I think that's one thing you have to be careful about with any new facility. Don't just build it for what you need now. That happened with the LEC, failed once, had to reduce the cost, was full the day, first day it was open. Shop site, it'll last 50 years or longer.
Right, yeah.
Wasn't filled the first day we opened it.
It's just like I said, that's what I wanted, you know, what our needs are, that's not once, and do we need everything in one location?
And because remember the LEC 10 years after it was built, they did an addition. That's not a good situation.
Right, oh, yeah.
In fact, you're pretty much landed. There really isn't anything you can really do there, I don't think.
Do where?
The law enforcement center.
Right, yeah, right. But they had, yeah.
Yeah, they're right.
But no, it needs to be discussed, yeah, for sure. We'll
And I
we'll get it on the
wasn't,
agenda.
you know, before the final thing,
Mhm.
but at some point to go through it.
So we know what they're.
Yeah,
working
what
on.
they're looking at.
Yeah, that's good.
And the other thing I think could be added into it is, because we're talking about the ambulance service as a whole, eventually I don't know if it's necessarily in this RFP, but adding the North County station, we've got funding available, that needs to be back on
Well, I will say, we need to make sure we have enough money for the current facility
Right.
first, and if there's leftover, yeah, we can definitely
Well-
discuss that, but.
I think that needs to be part of the discussion too. We're talking about the whole ambulance system, not just one building.
Yeah.
And that's part of it.
It's based on what, of course, as you know, the consensus of the board, but I mean, that is something, once we pick someone, we could add on to there.
Right.
Okay, also give us an alternate for a North County station and projected
Right,
cost.
that's
And
what-
then,
that's
and
what
then
I'm
you have to
thinking.
determine, I mean, even with just the centralized facility, can we afford everything in that spot? And if not, you may have to pare back to just EMS ambulance, but I don't know. I think with the revenue loss figures on ARPA funds, that there potentially could be adequate funds for at least a centralized facility. But I haven't seen any projected cost on anything. I just know what some other communities have built and cost, but that's been a few years ago. Costs have definitely gone up in materials. So, yeah.
Maybe there should be, well, we can do this in 5 years, we can add this on and that kind of thing. I mean, that's hard to do.
Well, remember, in 5 years, I mean, you're doing that, then you're going out to an election. Because the ARPA funds have to be used up at a specific
Yeah, and
time.
the costs are gonna be that
Well,
much more in
I
5
was
years.
just throwing out 5 years, 1 year, whatever, but like say North County. We can't do it in this one, but we can put a station in, or we will put a station in a year or 2 years.
We'll get a time set up on the agenda with the appropriate staff here to have a work session, met with the board.
Yeah.
Sound good?
Yeah, and then that's just the ARPA, do we have, we're talking about this, do we have other plans? Is that something? Again, something we need to, I know we don't have, it's not the urgent thing like it was the last one.
Well,
We have
the
some
issue
time.
with it still is we don't have all
They don't
the,
have the
They don't have the guidelines out
They
yet.
don't have the final
So-
guidelines, I guess, yeah, that's true.
I think we probably did the best thing we could do with that in the short term and long term is getting a consultant on there, and as those things get developed, that's gonna be the approach, probably work with
Yeah,
the.
that's true.
There are some things that are really clear right now. There are other things that are not clear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The most flexibility you have is with the revenue loss figures. That's wide open on basically what you can use it on. Because that's just your revenue you lost due to the pandemic. But the other specific funds for like sewer, that's why we used it on the 2 sewer projects, because it was specific from the very beginning, sewer and water infrastructure.
Yeah.
But what
That's
the
right.
plans are for the
They
rest of it
still aren't.
depends on how much is left over. If the commission's priority is the larger facility, which will take the lion's share.
I actually think we're gonna have to come up with some CIP dollars too. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, and that's why you see the 3-point figure in CIP. I would be very cautious about spending that if your primary goal is facilities, because we don't know if there will be adequate funds in the ARPA. But it's based on your 3's priorities, which you agree upon.
I think a work session is good.
Yeah, we'll get that
Yeah.
scheduled. We'll get that scheduled. Anything else for business?
That was it.
I don't either. So now we need something very important, but we take a
Oh,
different
sure.
strategy because I believe the chairman's already publicly made his score
I did.
with that 32-28 cats. So then we'll go to,
What you did,
You're
Okay,
32,
yeah, they did.
28.
I had a meeting I was going to.
he was peer pressured into giving a score prematurely. So
Yeah,
I already had that in mind, so it didn't catch me by surprise.
at least he can't get after me for picking on him first this week, you know? So Greg, what's your score?
He called and talked to Brandon ahead of time. That's what it was. Make sure you get Commissioner Ford to say it on air, the score.
Oh, shoot. It's gonna be close. I'm pretty sure. I'll go 28-24 cats.
Catherine?
well. I'm thinking about this. I think 41-39 cats.
Clancy?
28-22.
And I'd already written down 35-24.
6.5 point underdog at home.
Yeah.
Oh, were we? It was at 4, so I hadn't heard
It's
the
been going,
update.
it's been
Yeah, it's
going
been
up
going up.
last week. Last week.
We've got a fair amount of injuries on defense, is my concern. especially the defensive end, too deep.
Yeah.
So,
Iowa State likes to run the football.
got a good running back too.
They do.
So it's Texas, that.
Deshaun Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't remember that. Holy cow, that guy.
I haven't watched them.
Oh, he's good.
You know, Sarkeesian's getting that team put together. They might struggle this year, but that's gonna
Yeah,
be
they
it.
finally got the right coach.
Yeah.
They always had the players, but
Something's
he
hasn't
be
been
able to put
clicking
them
there for
together.
a decade plus now, yeah.
That's all I have, commissioners.
Okay, so keep in mind, we'll be in Kansas City at the beginning of the week, so safe travels to and from. There'll be plenty of people on site to help for questions or anything that comes up along the way, so most of our people, I think, will be there, so. Yeah.
How far away is the hotel from the convention center? Have
I-
any idea?
Don't know.
They're
on
all
that.
fairly close. We're trying to pick up any rooms that are coming up. Every once in a while, Clerks Wide Area Network email listserv that's been sending out some rooms are available. So I'm trying to grab onto some at the actual facility. So we'll see if we can do that and maybe get commissioners at the facility. But
Yeah, I saved all the confirmations from July when Cindy made the
Yeah, I've got those.
original ones.
they
She
come
sent
up
me some new
one and
ones
two at a
yesterday.
time. So
Is it at the courtyard or is it at someplace else?
it's at the Sheridan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they're under construction, so their whole facility's not open. And
Oh,
that's why it got booked up so early.
And the other one, at least mine was at the Marriott. The hotel.
You know, it's pretty much Hotel Central in that little
Yeah,
location of
there's a mile
overall.
up and down there.
Yeah, so
not too far away from anything.
as long as they're kind of within the same plaza or across the street or something.
Mhm.
that's the way, right. Okay, so anything else? Okay.
Move to adjourn.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the October 14th meeting of the Riley County Board of Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.